Good morning and welcome to AMA Puget Sound's Coffee Talk series, live on Thursdays, starting today every other Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Our guest today is Shaily Hakimian. Shaily leads workshops, and works with business owners one-on-one to train them on social media. And she's coached well over 200 B2B consultants on how to use LinkedIn and to grow their business. Welcome. Hello. How you doing?
Hi, super pumped to be here. I don't always get to talk to other marketers or people who get marketing because a lot of people I work with, they don't know this kind of stuff. So it's cool to be like in the same room with someone who gets it.
Yes, exactly. So I take it you've worked as a marketing team of one at least once.
Oh, it's happened. 100%.
It's happened.
It's happened. We've been through it. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So you get to have a lot more insight than, say, a team of marketers, on a larger team at a in-house type of situation. So
100%.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that good stuff.
And what's funny, I love, and this is totally okay if people are listening to this, but just because someone's worked at a big corporation doing marketing doesn't mean they understand the small teams of 20 people or the solo service-based business or whatever. So I try to bridge all that knowledge, get the good stuff and make it relatable to the everyday person.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, it's so good. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's good stuff. But I do have to say two things. One, I want to thank Troy Sandage, previous guest on this show, for bringing you in and saying, "Hey, Shaily's awesome. Talk to her." So that's
Troy is awesome too. Get him on Twitter. Get him on the socials.
Yep, I'll link his episode down below.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can see it in the playlist. Yeah, awesome. One other thing, this is more about the chapter. It's the first. Happy July, which means we are in a new fiscal year. I am no longer president. I am immediate past president. So don't come to me about president stuff because that's not me anymore. But if you're interested in volunteering, please let me know. So like I said, starting this week, we will be going to every other week. So you get to be our very first of the year, our first guest of the year.
Aww.
How fun.
I feel like a star. I feel like a celebrity. Here we go.
Absolutely.
It's my moment.
It's like sweeps. Sweeps.
Ooh, I didn't even see that coming. Ooh.
I didn't either. This is going to be great. So let's actually get into it. So we're talking about bridging the gap on knowledge. And so let's talk about the small business owners. I know, I'm sure you've run into folks like this. I know I have. You run into small business owners and they still kind of poo-poo the idea of social media. Yeah. Like why? And it's just like, it's 2021. Do I have to actually answer this? But you do. Ooh. And so how do you explain to them or show them basically the return on investment of using social media? Like it's all there. You just can search. Is social media worth it for my business?
So this is juicy.
Yeah.
This is where I feel like a lot of marketers might not actually know what to say in the room with that person, because we know as a marketer, it's like, oh, you put stuff out and people are educated and they get to know your thing and then they get to have a relationship with you. They get that. But the person that you're talking to is not a marketing expert. All they know is that they need to get people to buy their thing and they need to see how what you're telling them to do relates to what actually works in their business. And a lot of times they don't, people who do social media don't understand the business owner mindset. There's a lot that's missing there. So yes, when I did freelancing, I would be like, yeah, you need this. This is great. But I couldn't tell them what the ROI was going to be. And this is not just a me problem. This was a lot of people, right? I saw this over and over again. Social media managers not knowing what the value is to a business, because social media managers in some degree, not all, are admins. You tell them what to do and they do it. So this is where I like to come in, is that for the business owners that I serve the most, they are influencers. They're just not influencers in the way that marketers like to think. They might not have a bajillion followers on Instagram, but everyone in their community knows that they're the person for a mortgage. They're the person for photography. They're the person for catering. They know that. So, and they have people that love and adore them, but their only way of staying in those people's heads is bumping into them at an event. Maybe if they remember to send a postcard every once in a while, maybe someone remembers them and wants to refer them. They don't have the knowledge to fill the reminders of what they can do for them. So that's where I take everything that these business owners know that to do on a sales call or knows to convey to their client and help them put it out online. So when these leads are stalking them because they heard, oh, Julie's great at this thing, they now understand, holy crap, she's amazing. Like, oh, I get that she solves what I need. It makes the phone calls easier. It makes everything easier. And it's exactly the same thing that they're doing with their sales calls, but now they can do it with their network at scale to remind them that they are the expert at the thing that they are good at. That's the difference. When we can bridge that gap, it makes everything easier.
Exactly.
That's part of the story. There's more, but that's a good start.
Right. And kind of, you're almost like not a mediator, but you're kind of like a translator.
Yes.
In that way of putting it into context that they understand.
100%. Yeah. Because if they don't understand what it's going to do for them, or if they're not illuminated on how it works to what they do, they don't need to understand everything about marketing. That's that, I'm there for that. But they need to understand how it relates to what they hope to happen, what they already know is working for their business. It amplifies. And that's always the place to start. Start with your people first is what I tell them, because feed them and you can feed more people who are just like them.
Exactly. It's almost like taking that word of mouth, that referral thing.
Yes.
But you're moving it. You're not getting rid of the in-person word of mouth. You're adding to it. It's supplemental. I've had to explain that to people. And I have to say in every episode, Facebook is not your website. I have to say it. Until people stop doing it, I'm going to keep saying it.
But I will say sometimes that's their starting point because they have nothing else and they don't know better. But
right. Exactly. As long as you're adding to it.
I hope so. They'll figure it out. And it's like, like you're annoyed with that. Like I had a client, right? And she was like, she had 2 people doing like different Instagram PR type stuff for her. And she's like, she just tells them, I'm paying them, like, go do Snapchat for me. Now, you and I probably know that building a Snapchat strategy is like not something you just want to like, it's a lot of effort, and it's not, just because it's hot doesn't mean you should do it. She had no people on there, and so her people were pushing back on her, and she was like, but why? I'm paying you. Why aren't you doing it? Because she didn't know, like they knew better that it was a waste of her time. But here's the other thing, and I don't know, this might be controversial here, but like I find that there's a lot of women in social media, and my background's in education, so women field that there's a lack of empowerment to say, hey, like you're wrong, or hey, like you are missing a level of understanding there. And at the same time too, the business owner knows better because they run a business and they're the boss. So there's a very big miscommunication that we're not taking advantage of the inspiration, the creativity that you already have in your team.
Right.
And so I love being able to coach someone within a company to help them advocate for themselves, but also speak the language of their leadership too. That is right. I love the like internal conflict resolution when it comes to social media and marketing. Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love teaching. I love teaching that aspect of it, like, and showing them with numbers. Like, this is what you do, and here's why you do it, and you'll make more money this way if you do this one simple thing. It's really 100%. Fascinating. Yeah,
it's better for the folks. I asked a bunch of my like past clients, I'm like, what is the result of this? And like, I have so many better conversations with the people I know that needed to buy my thing because the conversation wasn't happening. The resources weren't there, and now they are, and I'm like, yay!
Exactly. Exactly. And I always feel that just because somebody is ready to buy when they're at that stage doesn't necessarily mean they know where to go. And that's kind of where you need to be on there. And if you're not on the website, if you're not online, people are going to not know about you. They might do a quick Google map search, but if you're not on there, you're not going to be found. And so having a website is almost like having a flag, having a flag, staking your flag,
Yes, it's a scalable you, because now I don't have to be physically there in the conversation. The conversation is happening on my behalf. And that is really nice. When a lot of the people I serve, they're too busy doing like the accounting, the bookkeeping, all the things. Like, yes. It's like they don't need to be on the phone with everybody. Their website is going to start that conversation. And hopefully you give them a direction of where to guide those people. And that's the next part, right?
It is. So like with those small businesses, let's say they've got the buy-in, they're ready to start doing stuff. They've got their website, they've got social media. What should they be sharing? Because you might get some people that are like, well, I don't know what to share because it might be wrong, or it might be controversial, or just that I don't know where to start. What kinds of things should be, or they think that they need to have some big campaign and they're ready to spend money. And it's just like, no,
we need a direction. That's step one. Like if you're going to drive people somewhere, you got to give them somewhere to go, which a lot of people don't even realize. Yeah. They think, ads is one strategy, or emails one strategy, or SEO. I'm like, wait, you gotta these two things go together here. The thing you said though about where to start, like, you're hinting at something. You didn't say this, but people are terrified. They're like,
yes,
what do I post? And I've been that person because I've been consistent on LinkedIn for 2.5 years. I'm so proud of that. But the first time I said I'm sticking with this, terrified, like terrified. So what I tell people to do, if you're nervous that something is too much or too little, share it with like 2 or 3 trusted friends because their reaction is probably going to take the edge off. That's like step 1. Step 2, like what should they actually be posting? It all comes back to like, what are the questions that you get from your ideal clients and from your leads? What do you get asked on your sales calls? One easy one that I love, like just mentioning the story about, like I had a guy that I knew him from being like a rabbi here in Chicago that I like knew that he was doing good work. And like, he's like, oh, Shaily, I want to work with you. I'm like, okay, what's your, and I didn't know he had another business, but he's a sleep consultant. I'm like, rabbi, sleep consultant. Wait, when did this happen? I don't know. And I'm like, have you ever explained how the heck that happened? And he's like, no, I haven't. I'm like, go do that right now because people are confused. Right. And he posted a story about it. And he said like a lot of his old posts were like kind of salesy. And like, that's where I came in. I'm like, cut that noise. Like, but like he put that story out and he said, people were talking to him. They were asking him questions. They were like, oh, I had no idea. He was filling up their context and understanding about who he is. And that was amazing. I was like,
yes, there's I something I learned many years ago from a TV show called The Simpsons. Human interest stories will always not go viral, but they will always bring in more engagement than just your salesy.
Yeah.
You bring in that human element because guess what? We're all human.
Yeah.
We're all human. So
it's relatable.
It's okay. Yeah, exactly. I'm so tired of this corporate speak in social media. Like we're people. A person is running this channel. Come on. Let's be people. It's okay. It's okay to not be so formal.
100%. 100%. I just, one of my clients, and then she's like an influencer on LinkedIn in her own right, but I'm always pushing her like, put a little more personal. Yeah. Today she's like, I'm moving. I've got life happening. Like business is happening. Like it's crazy. And I'm going to be real about it. This is my situation. And I am sure that like, when people see their idol being like so real, it's like, oh my gosh, she's like me. Like I've got my struggles too. And I'm like I just love that. You don't feel so alone.
Exactly.
And as I say this to you, people think I'm very personal online. I hide a lot. So I'm putting this as like maybe an accountability point that I have a speech in September 18th at Park West here in Chicago where I'm going to reveal, I think I'm going to reveal some secrets. So we'll see. Cause I even need to push myself to be more than what already appears. That's just me accountability. I'm saying it on the air. So hopefully it sticks.
I will check in with you in a couple months.
Did I do it? But it does help. Right. It's like, I love that. Like even on TikTok, I'm like, oh, you've been through the thing that I've been through. Like, oh, I love you. Like, hi, let's be friends. It's like, oh wait, there's like 1,000 other people who are messaging this one person the same message. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And it kind of brings our world closer together. It really
100%,
does. Especially 100%. After the last year that we've had.
Yes.
You know, we need that connection.
100%. And I will say one of the Shaily signatures, when it comes to whenever I coach anybody in social media, whether that be like high school students on how to do LinkedIn, college students on how to do LinkedIn, whether it's business owners on how to do any of their social medias, I always say sprinkle a little personal in your profiles because that's what people will connect with. I had an interior designer and I had no idea she'd studied zoology and she also likes Cavalier dogs. I'm like, she's going to have that in mind when she's designing your like space. And that is a really unique feature that you can relate to. Because when we're buying services, we're not just looking for any lawyer. We're not just looking for any real estate agent. We're looking for someone who gets our situation. Exactly. So the more that you can relate to their situation, the better. So tell people that you played piano. Tell people that you were in a sport. Tell people you like to coach people, whatever. Like tell people you love to travel and where you like to go. Huge.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and that's the small talk stuff that we use in our conversations of like, oh, you played a little ball? Okay, cool. You know? Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Right.
It helps with any conversation.
It does. It really does. And it comes back to that we're all human. You know, we need that context of being able to say like, oh yeah, I've experienced that. Let's talk about it.
Can I tell you how overboard I get with this? Let's see if I can find it. So I used to love my business card. Like my business card is my baby. I'm seeing if I can find it here. My business card has a lot of little small details about me that like let people know who. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to like cover my phone number here, but it looks like this, right? And on the back, it has like every single thing I do, like where I volunteer, like different. I don't know if you can't really see it so well, but it has all these details about me. Now, is it overkill? Maybe a little bit, but now I find out that somebody else likes my favorite reality show, Big Brother or Survivor, because they had it on my card. That is a great bonding moment that we will talk about for hours. So I really believe in this. But anyway.
Yeah. And how many have I gotten, like, and in the audience, like, how many of you gotten where it's just the most boring business card ever? You know, it's just your name, your company, your email.
What makes you special? What makes you really special?
Right.
Why you versus somebody else? I want to know that up front.
Yeah. I think that could definitely work in sales for salespeople because, you know, especially as a customer, I don't know you as a salesperson. Who are you? You're just trying to sell me something. You know, I think that could bring that humanity level to it. And just companies should be doing that. I don't like when companies kind of say, no, you can't be a person. You're a number. So I think we're starting to see that breakdown of like, no, we need to live. We need to live like
people
humans.
are quitting their jobs left and right because of this. Like, huge.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. And you've seen that like throughout the show too of we've talked to other folks about remote work and things like that. We're getting way off subject here.
Oh yeah, keep going. I'm here for it. You're great.
Absolutely, me too. But we're kind of talking about those businesses and kind of helping them not change their mind, but at least open it.
Yeah.
And I love that. So with that,
one more thing I will say, every business relationship often starts with a personal one. They already know this.
Yes.
They just don't realize you can translate that to the internet.
Exactly. And I think there's that fear of, well, computers are just, they can be scary. It's a technology I don't understand.
Oh, I get that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I get that all the time. But you got to start somewhere, and somewhere that hopefully not intimidating.
Right.
So there's easy ways to start.
Mm-hmm. Hiring people like you is a good start.
I mean, hi. Like, look, I'm a certified teacher. I love empowering folks. Like, I love getting them to reduce their fear. Whatever the worst thing it is that they think it is, it's not. So
right. Exactly. You're not going to break the internet. It's fine.
Yeah. And I get people of all ages who are figuring this out. And, okay. Can I tell you this funny thing? Every client I work with is like, I'm going to be your worst client. I'm so terrible. I know nothing. And I'm like, oh, you have this, and this. Like, a lot of people don't have that. That's amazing. So anyway.
Yep. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. So then how do you, when you're working with small businesses, and when they get to that point where they're almost too overwhelmed, you kind of touched on it earlier because they're doing their accounting, they're doing other things, they're doing the business stuff. And now they've got to squeeze in marketing. And how do you explain to them? How do you work with them to get them to explain it to them that they still need to focus on marketing?
Well, here's where I find what I say differs from what marketers will say. So this is what I'm hearing about TikTok of like, and I'm addicted to TikTok, but I hear like, in order to do TikTok well, you have to post 3 times a day. Or same with Instagram. You have to post like 3 posts a week or something like that. We hear this and it's probably a best practice and it's probably not wrong. But if you go to one of my business owners and you say, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, which so many coaches are like, learn how to do Instagram. They tell them to do this thing that is very hard, that is a lot, that is a skill set that if they don't like photos or they don't like writing or they don't like hashtag research, they're never going to do that. And that is the wrong thing to tell someone who is a small business with a lot of hats to wear. So I tell them this. First off, go to where either your people are or where you can bring your people, right? Referral network first. And then feed them on a consistent basis, because we would hate it if our favorite show ended mid-season without warning, but that's what people do on a regular basis. So my whole thing is pick an amount that you can maintain and stick with it. I feel like I'm starting to reveal this secret a lot more. I only post, people love my posts on LinkedIn. I only post once a month, which is insane, which best practices are probably like 3 posts a week, even anything 1 post a week, not more than 1 a day. Right. But if I don't stick with it, I'm going to quit, just like a bad diet. So it's finding a balance that you can maintain, because at least I know on LinkedIn, my audience will see it at this point with a current algorithm, with also my very good engaged network, people will see it. So
exactly.
So that's what I say.
Yeah. One thing I do want to kind of talk about just for a second with that is the quantity over quality. You just said you post maybe once a month and your posts go well, but at the same time, we're hearing all of these quote unquote influencers and social media mavens saying, oh, you need to post this often. Yeah. For the algorithm. That's, you're doing something a little different than what a small business is doing. Where a small business, they're just trying to get people come through the doors, not necessarily buying right away. Whereas some of those not necessarily influencers, but the folks that are saying, okay, post how many times a day? It's like, is that true?
You can pull it off and you can do it well.
Yeah.
Like, great. But most people don't have that capacity or the team members to do it.
Exactly.
So let's not pretend that they can, which is what I see like every time they're like, oh, what about your competitors, Shaily? I'm like, I have no competitors because they're basically teaching people how to be marketers. I'm like, the real estate agent does not want to be well, maybe they want to be a marketer, but like, I don't know, some of these people do not want to be marketers. They do not. So why are we pretending like we're going to train them on how to get a content calendar? Like, that is not the first thing you should tell somebody who is beginning out their business yet. They're like, I'll show you how to do that. I'm like, no. Okay, buyer personas, yeah, they're very important, but like, that is not the place where you're going to start because they have it. They have a lot of this stuff in their head. They already know this stuff. And so it's like not where they should start.
Exactly.
So I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that.
So
marketers do better.
Right. And those small business owners, you just said it. And I agree with it. Having spent 10 years in retail before I went into marketing, you're in a place long enough, especially if you own the business and you have that regular interaction with your customers, you already know this type of person typically buys this because of this. I would typically be able to do that. After 10 years, you get to know how customers are. So you don't need those personas. Focus on something else. You start somewhere. And I think getting over that fear is just jump in.
I would say brain dump all the things that people ask you about regularly. If you can get that base of information, it's one of my, like, I have this thing on my website where you can get like my top 10 questions that your content needs to like be. If you can get those 10 like best questions, you can turn that into a podcast, a website, a blog. Do you need to do all of those things? No, absolutely not. Don't get overwhelmed. But like that information brain dumped and even just simply put it on your website is already a huge advantage. That can feed your content for a lifetime.
Exactly. And if you are consistent, and eventually then you do need to bring in somebody like you who can see from a bigger perspective of like, okay, you've got some great stuff, some great evergreen content. How can we repurpose this?
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's part of it. But I find a lot of people, their content isn't really where it needs to be. Like they put a lot of energy into it, but it doesn't actually solve anything for their leads. Like old school social media is like, let's curate content or let's post a pretty picture and a quote. And I'm like, what does that tell me about your business or what it does for me? It doesn't tell me anything. So like, stop that. Like, let's change it up. But the other thing is that like, there's a great, let's say great social media manager says, oh, I want to help you with social media, but the business owner doesn't know what to tell them to do. So I just posted about this on LinkedIn, and it's like there's a lostness to it. And it's like, and especially if you go to an agency without ever understanding social media, you're going to have to sign a contract. And if you don't understand what they're doing for you, you miss out on a huge opportunity. So that's again, where those two parties need to know how to speak to each other. And that's where it gets tricky. And that's where social media, like we said at the beginning, can get a bad rap.
Exactly. Yep. You kind of touched on this already.
Yeah.
But when should a small business, especially if it's a solopreneur, somebody who, doesn't have the bandwidth anymore, when should they be calling a consultant, somebody like you, to come in? And I like to hear, because I've asked this with other guests, and I like to hear, kind of where people go with this. So I'm kind of fascinated.
So my folks, the people that call me, they're already doing social media. They're playing with it. And their industry has already like burned it into their brain that they need to do this. But they are overwhelmed and annoyed because they don't feel like they're getting what they need out of it. And they wish they understood it better, or they wish they could do it better. They don't need to understand everything about marketing, but with a few nuggets of inspiration, they can do so much better without having to sign up for an agency, without having to sign up to get a full-time staff or whatever. Like that's the place where they're like, I need to do this. I need to do it better. Let me reshuffle. That's the moment where they're like, they need to come to my website and be like, oh, she gets me. Like, okay, great. That's it. Like they know that they're close, but they're not there yet. And they know they already know that they have people that they are neglecting to serve. At that moment, this is where it helps.
That's what you just said. They know that they're neglecting a certain group and they want to reach them. That's fantastic. And
it's their network. They know that they get clients from their networking. I remember back when I was like doing freelancing, I would say like, oh, I do social media. I'm like, oh, I don't need social media. I get my business by referral. And that would drive me insane. I'm like, why don't they want to work with me? And then I was like, wait a second. They just don't know that that's the same thing. They don't get that. So that's where like, I always ask when I'm talking to someone on the phone to see if we can work together. I'm like, are you keeping in touch with your network? And the answer is often, oh, wait, no. But that's where they know their money's coming from. So here's a tool to help you do that.
Exactly.
Scale.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. It's that word of mouth, just bigger, much bigger. So you mentioned agencies, and we've talked about social media managers.
They have their place.
Yeah, they're not the same thing.
No. I
No.
literally made a whole blog on my website about like how much you could potentially expect to pay, which of these services are best for which kind of circumstances. I literally break down that, freelancers. I want to add one that says intern as well, because I'm like, here's here's the pros and cons of all these options. Because people don't know. So I like put it out there. So
right. So can you give us a little snippet?
Oh, absolutely. So agencies, right? Like we know agencies usually are with whatever modern marketing tactics are out there. They will work people to the bone to make sure deadlines are met. And that's a great thing. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. They will know how to do the stuff. But there's long commitments. And sometimes if you're not their most expensive client, you're not going to get the priority people or the priority like best stuff. So it really, and I feel like you have to know what you're looking for when you do it, because if you're just hoping that the agency is going to figure it out for you, and that's really the same for a lot of this stuff, then you get lost. That's a big piece of it, right?
Yep.
And with the freelancer, you got to tell them what to do. Like, I need this Instagram, I need this done in Canva, I need this kind of content. Great. If you know some nuggets to make this better, awesome. But they're not your strategist. They're not here to like get you clients. So I see this. I usually made a TikTok about this. I was like, it's like somebody's like, oh, do my social media, and if you get one business, one sale, you get a very big commission. And I'm like, social media is not a sales job. Like, stop this. And like, there's a misconception there. Like, well, how do I know I'm going to get clients? I'm like, they don't know that this is a piece to the puzzle. They have no idea. So, so that's where, like, I think, that's where the social media manager and the business owner, like, where you got to speak the same language here, because it's not a sales machine. And then there's but a coach, it's like, well, now if you understand how your marketing relates, if you understand that, you are now empowered to go get an agency, which happened with a client of mine who's got like a therapy company. And I met her through doing a podcast for an agency that I love. And so she called me, she's like, I need you. And then she wanted to hire that agency as well. And I'm like, that's a good idea, but I want you to understand what you're actually hiring for and what this is going to do for you. And this agency is really good at making content fabulous. And so with some strategy, their efforts are going to be more worth it now that she understands how all of her SEO works with her mailing list, works with like a lead magnet. Like, now she gets it, but she didn't have that before. So when she gives direction, she actually knows how it's playing into what is going to get her business. Right.
It's kind of like going into a stylist and saying, I want a new hairdo, but you have no idea. You're like, well, just do something with my hair. Same here. I don't know, you're the expert, do something with it.
All the time.
You can't do that. You have to have at least an idea.
You do. And this is funny. I'm going to be vulnerable here. I just got a virtual assistant, like someone I'm committing a lot of hours to, more than I ever have. I've hired different people before, and I was that person of like, I don't know. I know I need this. I don't know what to do. And thank goodness the lady that runs this company that gives me VAs like trained me for an hour the other day on how to actually implement them to do the thing. And it's exactly the same for social media. So I like that I was able to be shepherded into like, here's what you need to have them do for you. I'm like, that would be smart.
Right. Exactly.
That makes sense.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know until what you don't know. Up. And you know what else they don't know? They don't know. I find this all the time. They don't know where their golden nuggets are. Like, somebody could be posting. I had someone on the phone yesterday, and she's like posting on like Facebook, but she's like, oh, I haven't got anything from Facebook. And then she tells me she's got a very good network on her LinkedIn, and yet she wasn't actually posting in the way she should to serve her network. And I'm like, you're missing your golden goose here. Like, I didn't tell her that on the phone call, but like, if we did a coaching session, like, I would help guide her on like where to prioritize her effort. And she had no mailing list. And I'm like, I already know where you need to cut all the wasted time, and this is where you need to put your energy, because you have people already there. Don't wait for the people to fall from the sky. That is the last thing you should be doing if you have a network to tap into.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw this in here.
Please.
Just because I'm old enough to remember when this movie came out, but Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. No. You have to entice your customers. You have to make it worth their while. Just because you have an offer doesn't mean people are going to be interested. You have to bring them in. You have to sweeten the deal somehow. So,
when I do speaking engagements, like whenever I want people to participate more, I give them a piece of chocolate, and they all now want to participate. And I'm like,
interesting.
And it's simple as that. You can give them a little thank you, a little love for participating. They want to do it more. So
exactly, it's that. Just
same on social media.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask this because it's not really with marketing, and
let's do it.
We're getting to the end, but happiness.
Yes.
You say that you know how to hack happiness, and as a middle-aged woman, I haven't figured that out. I want to know. How do you hack happiness?
Ooh, this is good. I don't get to talk about this enough, but I love it. So I was this like kid in like 5th grade, bullied, teased, had nothing. Like I was sad. I always tell people like I'm so thrilled I hit my rock bottom in 5th grade because I couldn't manage to do that now.
Right.
So I'm like, but so I said to myself, I needed to be happy. I needed to find ways to bring myself joy. And so I kept it in my head over and over again. And over time I realized that nobody else was gonna like say, hey Shaily, you're doing a great job. Because even the teachers were like mean to me or whatever. And eventually I'm like, well, how do I keep motivating myself to be positive, to hear the good messages that people say about me? So this has taken a lot of forms over the last like 10 years. But like every time I would give like a really good speech, like I have this like Friending Our Foes workshop I do. It's like a fun conflict resolution workshop. And the first time I did it, I was terrified. I was like, I don't know, 21. And I filmed myself after nailing the junk out of it saying, Shaily, if you're ever like doubting yourself in like 4 years or 3 years, just remember you killed it today and you can kill it again. And so like I collected these videos of this kind of stuff. I saved like beautiful letters that people have written to me to say, hey Shaily, you're doing great. My current iteration of this is a Google slideshow of every compliment anyone's given me online that says, Shaily, you've changed my life. Shaily, you've helped me with this. So I know that when I have those handful of really bad days in the year, I just have to read that and I start crying because I'm like, oh, people love me. When I feel the least loved and the least great, I get to be reminded that I've impacted people. And so that's one way to do it. There's some other videos. I did a talk for Creative Mornings where I talk about this like activity that you can do to help get a more positive mindset that I took from someone else. There's a whole lot on that, but that one hack I think for me has been helpful, and it can take a lot of forms for a lot of folks. So if you want to learn more, I love talking about this. It is a bonus that I can share with anybody here. But yeah, thank you for asking me about that.
After 2020, I think we all need something positive. I mean, granted, we're in July now. We're in a new year, like halfway through a new year.
Yeah.
But still, the remnants of it are still there. And it's just, how do you find that happiness every day? And it can be very, very hard, no matter who you are.
Yep. But take the joys that you've had and remind yourself of them. That's one way of doing it. It's not going to solve everything. Look, I'm not a therapist. Like that is not my jam, and therapy is necessary for a lot of people, but this is like a way to like train yourself. I don't know, maybe therapists agree with me. I have no idea, but that's one way to do it. Give yourself good things when you feel like you're out of luck.
Kind of like stockpiling like a food stockpile for when it's end of world and you need some good news. It's a love
stockpile.
Well, I love it. Yeah,
I like that. I might quote that. I'm like, stockpile of love.
Go for it.
Stockpile. Here we go. I'm writing that down.
Go for it. So we kind of went over a little bit, but that's okay. Is there anything else that we need to know? Anything else that you feel that we should know that we didn't cover?
I'll say this. I think there's plenty of people out there who will coach you on one specific tactic when it comes to marketing. And if you want to learn the one thing, great. But what I love to say is I love to illuminate how people should think about this stuff so that it isn't just time dependent. That if, TikTok goes down tomorrow, that you're not out of luck. Or if you lose your following, it's a mindset around how you stay in touch with people. And that can feed you for a lifetime. It is not something that'll go away tomorrow. Just like the platforms come and go, but the mindset around how you think about your relationships in terms of social media, that knowledge can last forever. And that's the thing I emphasize, that it's not time. It doesn't expire. Yeah. And that's what I love to emphasize. And I think that's what surprises people whenever I do sessions or conversations. So that's a big one. I say social media empowerment, helping people feel empowered about it so they don't have to hate it. And I think a lot of people hate it. And if they don't do it in a way that's fun, of course they're going to hate it. If they don't know why it's going to help them, of course they're going to hate it. So let's find a way that is probably less than what they thought they had to do, that is more impactful. I'm all about that. But those are some nuggets there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this was a lot. Thank you so much. There's more. There's more that you can see from Shaily. We have her links down below. Where else can we see you?
You can stalk me all over the internet. If you go to Hakimian45 on like every platform you didn't know you needed, I never done this. I never put it up into the screen here, but that is, I am everywhere. I have a link tree with like lots of places you can stalk that you didn't know I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I love LinkedIn. So if you want to give me a follow on LinkedIn, I post a good nugget now, every month. But if you look at my old posts, I don't just try to talk just to talk. Like, I like to make sure that something is going to be helpful to them.
Mm-hmm.
If you, LinkedIn is one of my areas of specialty. If you want to up your profile so that when people who are prospecting with you or who might want to hire you or whatever, give you a job, you want them to see you as awesome at what you do. So I made a collection of all of my favorite LinkedIn profiles for both like high schoolers, college students, business owners, all that kind of stuff, so that you can get some ideas to up your game and get some inspiration. That's totally free. If you go to yoursocialmediasherpa.com, you're going to see maybe a little too many pop-ups with that, but it'll be there for you. And then if you want some hacks on how to do more, I have hacks for sale. They're all under $100. They're fun. And I have full free YouTube trainings about how to do all these different things in social media. I'm probably going to add this to a playlist on my YouTube channel as well.
Go for it. Please do. Absolutely. Yeah. Share this wherever you'd like. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
As long as the chapter gets credit.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You are just awesome.
Oh, thank
you. If you, for those of you out there,
you too.
call Shaily.
Yes.
Hire her, talk to her. She's got a lot of great stuff to share with people. And yeah, just you were very, very fun to talk to. And I love it.
You too. Oh, I love it. You're a great host. You're an amazing host. And I'm honored to be a part of this stage that you have for Puget Sound. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And hello to Chicago. Hello from the Puget Sound.
Yes. Well, we're going to pull you back in. We're going to pull you back in at some point.
Yes, I need to take a trip back home at some point to Wisconsin. So Chicago is definitely part of that. Yeah. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
I'm going to share my favorite social media quote that I wish I had written myself. Social media is about the people, not about your business. Provide for the people, and the people will provide for you.
Mm-hmm. I could not say it any better myself.
Yay.
On that note, I do want to thank you so much for your time today. All of Shaily's links are down in the description, including her website. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the notification button, because we are, like I said, going to go every other week. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. Awesome. Have a great holiday. No fireworks. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Yes.
I'm going to drink my water.
I got to drink mine. Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.